o'clock. We are going to get rolling. Welcome everyone to our weekly Northern Nevada Volunteer Opportunities and Updates meeting. We have a pretty small crew on the line, but I appreciate everyone who's joining. Everyone needs to know that we are recording this so it can be shared out and viewed by anyone who wasn't able to attend at this hour. So thank you, welcome. For all of you who may not know, I am Sherry or Bear Lewis. I'm the Disaster Program Manager here in Northern Nevada, and we have a ton to cover today. A lot happening in our chapter, a lot happening organizationally, so I'm just going to get cracking and get rolling. Before we get into new things, are there any questions from the last meeting or from anyone who watched the video and wasn't able to ask any questions at the last meeting? Okay, if you did not have an opportunity to view the meeting, the link to the video is in this week's agenda. I shared this week's agenda in the chat. It was also shared in the email that went out to everybody. So if you have any trouble finding it, let me know and I can email it to you or text it to you as well. Some important information. We've touched on it the past 2 weeks, but OneSource is live at midnight. This is the tool that is going to replace the exchange. They did put out a 13-minute video today that's specifically on how to find the disaster services pages, the disaster services content and how it's organized, how to find the OneSource user help page that includes videos, documents, navigation tips, and login help. We are not going to take 13 minutes during this meeting to go through the video, but again, the link is in the agenda. Let me know if you have any trouble finding it. I've heard a little bit of mixed information about OneSource and disaster cycle services. We were given a message that OneSource was not going to be applicable to disaster cycle services content, but then we received this video today showing us how to access the disaster cycle services information. So I cannot tell you with any certainty that the disaster cycle services information shown in this video is going to be available at midnight or at a future date. I'm hoping it is at midnight since they shared this video with us today. But if you have any challenges, that may be the reason. Please reach out to me and let me know. Any questions about OneSource? Okay. The other thing that happened yesterday was a big public announcement and press release about the Climate Crisis Launch and National Preparedness Month. So the American Red Cross has announced an ambitious plan to take urgent action in response to the climate crisis, which is disrupting the lives and entire communities as the frequency and intensity of extreme weather rapidly increases across the globe. Our changing climate is a humanitarian crisis for the communities and people we serve. And as fast as we are working to adapt, the needs are escalating faster. So the Red Cross stands on the front lines with families and communities responding to strengthening storms, record floods, and widespread wildfires. Our disaster workforce can tell you there is no time to lose. This work is occurring even as the organization simultaneously responds to back-to-back disasters and readies for Idalia, which is taking aim at the Gulf Coast this week. So that was just a brief snippet of the intro of the talking points. I'm not going to go into all of them, but essentially their Red Cross has a multi-year plan to help tackle climate crisis changes and how they impact disasters and the clients who are susceptible, our most vulnerable clients to those disasters. So I included a link in the agenda to the full talking points, and there is a climate and sustainability communications toolkit This is the link to the exchange. I'm guessing there's going to be a different link for OneSource. So this may or may not work for very long. Any questions about that big climate crisis launch? Quiet crew today. Okay. So the other big thing that is consuming the news because it's such a catastrophic disaster, and we've talked about it as well the past couple of weeks, is Hawaii and the devastating wildfires that have happened there. Again, hot off the presses today, Trevor Riggin, who is our president of humanitarian services for the Red Cross, so pretty high up there in the food chain, put out this video today from Hawaii. It's, again, we're not going to watch it during this meeting to save time, and also because videos don't translate well to the recordings. But I encourage you to watch this when you have time. You can click right on the image, or you can click on the video link in the title. But he gives basically an overview of what's happening, and he's shooting this video from HQ, where a lot of the Red Cross decisions are being made by the leadership. And it's also where our very own Barbara Kramer is working as transportation manager. So I myself have not had the opportunity to watch the video, but as you're watching for it, please keep your eyes peeled and see if you see Barbara in the background. Any questions about that video or things that are happening in Hawaii right now?
Hey, Sherry, it's Paul. I was curious, what exactly is the Red Cross doing at this point?
Well, they're doing a lot. So they helped facilitate the move of all of the folks from sheltering to non-congregate sheltering. So more than 4,000 people are staying in hotels, motels, condominiums, any type of, we'll say, short-term housing that we could find for people that through our efforts or through combined efforts with our government and community partners to put those people in the non-congregate sheltering. And then we're doing all of the wraparound services to support those folks. So we're still providing feeding. I'm not sure if we're doing distribution of emergency supplies. I would have to check into that, but that's something that we may or may not be doing. We're offering a lot of disaster mental health services, a lot of health services and spiritual care. And then we have, we're supporting the Family Assistance Center, where those folks are still trying to reunite with missing persons, or they've experienced a loss of a loved one. So
we don't have an actual shelter in there right now.
No, we have staff shelters. Our staff are staying in shelters, but as far as I'm aware, all of the survivors, and this is a little bit different for this disaster too. We typically call our clients. In this disaster specifically, everyone is being referred to as a survivor. So it's my understanding that all survivors have been placed in non-congregate sheltering options that we're supporting.
Got
But we still need shelter workers, because shelter workers still support those non-congregate facilities. And then we still have staff shelters that need workforce as well. So, and it's my understanding still that they're only allowing experienced folks to deploy. That may change over time or not, we'll see. But if you do have an interest, we're going to talk about deployment opportunities a little bit later in the meeting, but please let me know. There is needs everywhere right now. If you're interested in training up for a position that you haven't done before, and there's a deployment opportunity for that position, let me know and we can work together on getting you the training you need so that you can go. Paul, here is a different type of assistance that we're also providing in Hawaii that is new to me. I'm not saying it hasn't been done on previous disasters elsewhere, but it hasn't been offered on any disasters I've worked on, is family travel assistance. It's a program, and in response to the Maui fires, the American Red Cross established a family travel assistance program, or FTAP, because we love our acronyms, to help alleviate the suffering of individuals and defray the costs resulting from the fatalities and hospitalizations of loved ones associated with the fires. So the FTAP provides flight and hotel arrangements and financial assistance for meals, transportation, and other trip-related incidental costs for up to 2 individuals, and financial assistance to defray the costs associated with the transportation of any cremated human remains. That FTAP is provided in addition to the normal fatality-related assistance of $2,500 per fatality that we're able to offer families. We all know that funerals cost a lot more than $2,500, so this isn't intended to cover funeral expenses, but those other expenses that are associated with a fatality. So that went into effect a few days ago on August 25th, and it's going to continue for a year. So families have a lot of time to take advantage of that opportunity and that type of assistance. Does anyone have any questions about that assistance type, or does anyone on the call have experience with that type of assistance being offered in the past?
Sherry, I have a question in regards to the travel assistance. Is that for people to go to Hawaii, like for family members to go to Hawaii, or for family members to leave Hawaii, or both?
I believe it is for both, but Sunny, I cannot speak with certainty. But this link right here will take you to the full guidance, and you can look for that answer in there. If I find the answer, I will certainly share it. But I believe it's both. Any other questions on the FTAP? Okay. So another thing we've touched on the past couple of weeks is the Shelter Client Information Application, or SCIA. And that's what's being used in lieu of shelter forms when we do the intake of folks at a shelter, and also throughout their stay and throughout their care cycle, I guess you could say, with us at the shelter. It's intended to be used on your smartphones, though I have heard, at least in the training, they're saying that there will be computers available for use. So hopefully that's true in most cases, but it's really wonderful for you, if you want to deploy in sheltering, to learn this tool ahead of time, practice in the sandbox, and access it on your phone, so that when you get on the job, it's easy peasy and you're not struggling through it. There are some trainings, one more training coming up that I know is scheduled, and then our region is also going to have some more training opportunities. But all of the training resources are on the exchange right now. They might migrate to OneSource. This is the link to the SCIA toolkit. Did anyone on the call take the SCIA training that was offered in this past week?
I took it, Sherry. This is Sherry.
Hey, Sherry, thank you for joining. Can you give us some feedback on the training, what people can expect, or maybe should they play in the sandbox before, or would that be helpful? What are some things you can offer?
I wouldn't play in it before you take it. It's pretty self-explanatory. The program is. It's just good that he goes through it with everybody to see. There was a long question and answer session afterwards, and I stayed on for that, which I think it answered a lot of questions, like what do you do if you don't have internet? What, like there's a bunch of them. So I would say stay on for that. I thought he did a good job of explaining how to use the program, and it's going to make, I think, the intake a lot easier.
Awesome. And you guys keep everyone's data more secure because there's not paper laying around with people's information. Karen Smith, you have your hand up.
Yeah, Sherry, I was on that training yesterday, and I got a little chaotic in the question and answer, but I'm not sure what I heard. Is it required that you have a mass care shelter and gap to get access to Skya?
Okay. I haven't talked to anyone yet who does not have a sheltering gap that's trying to get into Skya. I have talked to some people who've had trouble, especially brand new volunteers, getting into Skya. But why do you make that recommendation, do you think?
I think he pretty much said that in the meeting, that because people were saying they couldn't get in, and he said, "What do you need to get in?" And he said, "You need the mass care a gap, and if you don't have it, get the gap." That's my understanding.
Okay, so it might already be a requirement. Okay.
I think that's what he said.
Okay. Okay, well, that's good information, especially if people maybe have done the training but haven't been assigned the gap in volunteer connection. That may have been the challenge that we were working through with our brand new volunteer. It might have been a timing thing. Any other feedback on Skya training that took place?
This is Randy.
Hi, Randy.
I did it too. Hi. It was just, I pretty much sat back and listened because all of this is so new to me. But to me, it seemed like it was very basic. It's just filling out a form. He really emphasized the part and said it over and over that about the pet part, about pets being allowed now, and really talked about that quite a bit. So it was good. I mean, I just need to get out there and see it. So
lots of opportunities. You just let me know when you want to go. And Randy, we're going to probably call on you again because I think you did a presentation today, but not yet. We're going to get some feedback on it. Anything else on Skya? All right. Well, we'll probably have more conversations about this. And we did have a regional meeting that I'm going to touch on a little bit later in this meeting as well. But there are going to be opportunities, I think, locally within our chapter, some training opportunities, and hopefully in person at our chapter office in Reno and possibly in Winnemucca, so that we can practice together if people would like to do that. Some things that have happened since our last meeting just a short week ago. Every week on Wednesdays and Fridays, we have amazing rock star volunteers who go out and install smoke detectors into people's homes in the vicinities around Washoe County, and I would say surrounding counties. Three of those people who deserve shout outs, who go out consistently and do the reporting and take care of everything, are Kirk Yates, Dale Curiazzi, and Linda Newman. Without fail, they go out whenever there's a request and install those. We're really trying to increase awareness of that program, and I apologize for not having the phone number in for people to call to request those smoke alarms. I'll add it to the agenda after this meeting so it's easy to reference for everybody. But if you know anyone in the community and you just happen to be having small talk with people in the community, please let them know that they can call us and we'll install smoke detectors for free. We will inspect existing smoke detectors and replace them if needed. And that includes those bed shaker smoke alarms for people who might have hearing challenges and could potentially sleep through traditional smoke detectors. So huge shout out to that team. And again, every Wednesday and Friday they go out. I encourage you all to encourage everyone you know to call us. The one caveat is we don't typically go into apartment buildings because those are managed and regulated by usually the county or the city that they're in and are required to maintain their own smoke detectors or smoke alarm system, along with a sprinkler system in a lot of cases. So outside of that, we'll go nearly anywhere and everywhere. Paul Steer, you have your hand up, sir.
I do. What about trailer parks?
Yes, sir. A
Is
lot of
that
our
considered?
DAT calls are in manufactured homes.
So that's not considered HOA controlled or a apartment building type of thing that, so you would go in there for free and then the Red Cross actually pays for the installation and the hardware?
We do the installation. Our teams go in there, they do the installation. We also educate the homeowner or the tenant about disaster preparedness and home fire safety so that they can also prepare for themselves personally as well as make their home safer. And HOAs don't matter. Condos, sometimes their HOAs take care of them, sometimes they don't, but we'll go into condos as well.
But we don't pay for the actual alarm.
Yeah, no, we bring the smoke detectors with us. We
Oh,
install
you do?
them. We do it all. They
Okay.
pay for nothing.
Okay.
Yeah. And we do install up to 5. So, if somebody calls us and they have a mansion, we may only restrict them to 5 smoke detectors. We may not put one in every bedroom, as we might in a smaller home.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions about our home fire campaign? All right. It's another opportunity for anyone to join as well. Our teams would love to have help and support. So if you're interested in going out with our teams on Wednesdays and Fridays, or joining the team and having another partner go out on a different day of the week, that is always an opportunity. It's one of those situations, the more the merrier, and the more teams we have spread out through the chapter, the better. On Monday, I attended, which was just yesterday, but it feels like a long time ago, an after action review for the Incline Village full evacuation exercise that we participated in on August 16th. Overall, the evaluators felt that the exercise went really well. I was one of the evaluators. I did agree that it went well, though there were a lot of artificialities that were part of that exercise that made the community concerned about how it was conducted. So there was a lot of conversation about how to interact with the community before and after an exercise, and the opportunities to educate the communities during and after and before an exercise about preparedness for themselves. So during the exercise, which was unique to me, they had a preparedness fair, which we had a booth at the preparedness fair, and then we were exercising our shelter capabilities. The preparedness fair was an awesome addition because it gave those people who were players in the exercise somewhere to go after they were done playing their part and educate themselves about disaster preparedness and hazards in their community. But it also was a welcoming opportunity for anyone else in the community who was not part of the exercise to learn about what was happening and also get an education and be able to learn about disaster preparedness and hazards in Incline Village. So there were a lot of great lessons learned operationally from the exercise, but also in regards to community relations and communications with our communities. So really excited about some of the preparedness opportunities and discussions we're having about how to do outreach in Incline Village going forward, which you guys know they are extremely susceptible to wildfire danger up here in the mountains. and have limited egress and ingress. So not many ways to get in and out, especially during times when the basin is flooded with tourists. So a lot of people had, especially from the community, had concerns about the evacuation routes, the traffic that could happen, the congestion that could occur during an evacuation, especially this was hot off the heels of Hawaii. The exercise occurred less than a week later. So a lot of good information, a lot of great learning opportunities. Does anyone have any questions about that inclined village exercise or exercises in general and how they work and why we do them? All right.
Question.
Oh, yes.
Why did they have it in 2 locations? Why? I mean, was that sort of a typical what to expect? Like, was that an actual gathering point? Because they had, seems like all the sheriffs and fire were in one location, and then leftover miscellaneous was over by the rec center. And was that intentional, I guess? Is that the way it would happen in real life?
Yes, very good question, Paul. Yes, it was intentional because typically the Emergency Operations Center, which has a lot of the government officials, they were at the Parasol Foundation building, and that typically would be separate from where we would have a shelter, which is what was happening at the rec center. What made it a little bit more chaotic at the rec center, it wasn't really all the leftovers, but it was that preparedness fair. So everyone really in the community that was not government focused for the Emergency Operations Center or the Incident Command Center were directed to the community center, because that's where the shelter and that's where the community would have been directed in a real event.
Okay. Thank you.
But one of the artificialities that was brought up is that usually Incident Command and the Emergency Operations Center would not be in the same location either. Like, Incident Command would usually be closer to where the fire is happening or the hazard is happening. And the Emergency Operations Center is usually at the county Emergency Operations Center or a state emergency operations center. Sometimes towns and cities have local emergency operations center, but very rarely is Incident Command and the Emergency Operations Center together. And that was some of the feedback that came out of the exercises. They really should have been separate, so they had the opportunity to practice those communications being separate from one another. A lot of questions that also came out from the community were about communications. What happens if the cell towers go down, right? Because we know that a lot of people did not get those emergency alerts in Hawaii. And that could happen here, though we are less vulnerable in Reno, in the Tahoe Basin in general, because of how our geography is set up. And typically, one incident is not going to take out all of our towers like in that small community of Lahaina. So one, it's not as likely to occur. It could occur. And we did practice using radio systems and communications during that exercise, which was really cool. We had a radio person set up right next to us at the shelter who was communicating any needs to the EOC, to the Emergency Operations Center. So definitely something that we should practice here, but a little bit less of a concern than an area like Lahaina. Good questions, Paul. Anything else that we can talk about from that? Okay. The other thing that happened yesterday, last evening, and some of you may have been able to attend and some of you may not have been able to. I'm not sure if they recorded it or if they're going to share the recording or not. And I don't have time to cover everything they covered because it was an hour-and-a-half long meeting. But what they did go over, we got an update from Barb, who was in Hawaii, and told us about her firsthand experience deploying to Hawaii, And she's the one who actually shared the information about them being called survivors as opposed to clients or victims. And so it was really good to hear from her firsthand what her deployment opportunity has been like so far. We also received an update on the disaster relief operation that happened in Las Vegas. I updated you guys last week, so I'm not going to go into great detail on that. But overall, there was an overwhelming response from volunteers throughout our region. We had 6 from Northern Nevada, 3 who actually hit the road in our Ford F-150 and made it down there in record time, and then 3 more who were set to go. So thank you to all of the volunteers who offered to go, and also all the volunteers who offered to cover locally should anything occur here, because we weren't totally out of the woods in Northern Nevada, though we definitely had a less risk of, significant impact than Southern Nevada. There are still efforts going on supporting and I'm forgetting the name of the area right now, Mount Charleston, that was pretty severely impacted. It sounds like there were at least 3 homes that sustained major damage or were destroyed, but a lot of infrastructure damage. So people cannot get in and out of this Mount Charleston area to get supplies for themselves or to do anything really. So still efforts going on there. I might have an update on specifically what we were able to provide them, unless there's anyone on the call who has that specific detail. Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on. We also heard an update from our workforce engagement team. They talked a lot about upcoming training opportunities, and the deployment needs across the nation right now to respond to all the disasters. We heard from our direct services manager, Jocelyn, regarding upcoming training. She talked a bit about SCIA, and she talked about regional teams that we're trying to develop and support. So if you have any interest in supporting our mass care teams at a regional level, supporting all of our chapters in Utah and Nevada, please reach out to Jocelyn or reach out to me if you're not sure how to reach out to her. We also received an update from Ashley, who's the preparedness manager, regarding our preparedness programs and our upcoming goals for this fiscal year. And we heard from our regional disaster officer, Matt Stevens, and his volunteer partner, Diane Orgel, and our senior disaster program manager. So a lot of updates from people in our regional leadership. And like I said, if the video comes out and I'm able to share it with you guys, I will. Otherwise, I think different things that were discussed at that meeting will come out over time if we don't already discuss them at these meetings. The other thing that happened yesterday, it was a busy day in Northern Nevada. We had our first monthly garage cleanup, organize, and inventory day. I want to thank Dave Kidwell, Jean, and Chico Held for their help. 2 hours flew by really quickly, and it will take even less time monthly if we have a bigger team. So everyone is welcome. Next time we decided we're going to have music and snacks, so it should be a fun gathering, even though we get a little bit of work done. It's going to be the 4th Monday of every month. So the next opportunity is Monday, September 25th at 1 p.m. in the chapter office garage. And if you guys have never been in the garage, it's located right behind kind of our office space at the Reno chapter office. And it's one of my favorite places to hang. Any questions about that monthly cleanup inventory organization party we're having? All right, I hope I see you guys there next month. Also, the first monthly that we had yesterday was our post-home fire outreach work group meeting. Again, a huge thank you to Jean and Chico Held, Sherry Reisinger, and Al Wagner, who attended. And we really had an opportunity to set the course of how we want the work group to function. We set a goal to increase the number of requests we receive for our smoke detector installations for our home fire campaign, and to do that home disaster planning education. The outreach is going to be through door hangers, always going in teams of 2 or more. And we're going to start this Thursday at 10 a.m. The location is still to be determined. So if you're interested in going, we're going to meet at the office at 10 a.m. And we'll go from there. We may be headed to Washoe Valley because we recently had a disaster action team call there. And the way we're going to prioritize the neighborhoods that we visit and do the door hanger distribution in is, first, we're going to try and hit neighborhoods where we've recently responded to DAT calls. And then the second is to try and hit our due communities, and that's the North Valleys. So Lemon Valley, Golden Valley, Sun Valley, Hungry Valley, those areas that we identify as part of our due communities, and Fallon. And then if our team is just kicking butt and we have more areas we want to hit, we'll focus on areas that might have vulnerable populations. So those are populations of communities of people that may have English as their second language or don't speak English at all, or communities that might have a higher percentage population of retired or elderly folks who may have access and functional needs that they would need support with anything. And they definitely need as much warning as possible to leave their home during an emergency. And then any other areas that you guys want to hit as volunteers. What are the communities you live in? Where are the communities you'd like to do outreach? And again, this is an awesome opportunity to get some exercise, get out there, socialize with other volunteers, and it doesn't require any training. Everyone is welcome. Does anyone have any questions about that opportunity? Okay, and our next meeting for that one is also going to be September 25th, but it is at 3 p.m. each month on the 4th Monday. Okay, Randy Honeywell, I'm going to call on you. I'm pretty sure today we had Be Red Cross Ready and hands-only presentations to about 30 people. And I should have the location included, but I think I accidentally deleted that. Randy, did that happen? And can you give us any feedback?
Oh, it happened.
Woohoo! Thank you.
Yeah, it was good. I did it at Access to Healthcare at Old Town Mall. A lot of people from all over the state, Las Vegas, Elko. It went great. I took my own equipment, mannequins, and I talked about, I showed them how to do CPR. I even included an infant. I took an infant. I talked about drug overdoses, what's happening in our neighborhood, because that's most of our CPR arrests is people from overdoses. But I think probably the best thing I took away from there today is the fact that they are a resource for us, for our people on DAC calls, and they are not listed on our resource list. So I have the name of the person who's their outreach. They have so many sources that are people that have been through those kind of unfortunate circumstances could benefit from. So when I'm at the office on Thursday, I am going to share that information and make sure we get it on the resource list, and especially for us DHS workers, because we need so many resources for these folks. So I'm excited to partner up with them and have you guys learn more about them.
Win, win, win. I love it. Way to go, Randy Honeywell. Thank you so much. And for anyone was anyone there to support you?
No, I was good. I didn't need any help. But
okay.
There was people that offered, but I was good.
Okay, very cool. And then are they a resource for our whole Northern Nevada chapter area, or are they just pretty much in Washoe County? It sounds like there were people there from everywhere.
They are the access to healthcare in Otown Mall is Northern Nevada, and then they gave me the name of the people for Southern Nevada that do the same exact thing. So it won't help our as far as DHS, our Utah folks, but hey, it's a great resource for us. So yeah, the entire state.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much, Randy. Thank you for representing us well and for making those community connections, those partner connections, because Red Cross, no agency can do it alone. So these partnerships are vital in how well we can provide services to our clients who are impacted by these disasters, and help them prepare for disasters. So thank you so much. Excellent work. Anyone have any questions for Randy about that report out? Okay, so today, like we have every week at 3 p.m., we have our weekly preparedness work group meeting where we cover events like that are coming up, like Randy just talked about. We talk about events that have occurred. And then we talk about other areas or preparedness events we'd like to have or places we would like to present, and outreach we'd like to do in our communities. So if you are interested at all in supporting our preparedness team, either being a presenter or supporting administratively or as a leader, we would love to have you. This is another group that cannot get too big, because the more people we have on board, the more people we can serve and share the message about disaster preparedness and how they can help prepare themselves and their communities be safer should something happen. I have to give a gigantic shout out to Sherry Reisinger, because she dedicates a lot of time to organizing the community preparedness education program presentations with our partners, with our presenters, and other volunteers that support our presenters. But she is stepping out of the role and giving this opportunity for leadership and administration to someone else. So if you're interested, though they'll be incredibly tough shoes to fill, please let me know. I'm happy to support you in the efforts. I'm sure Sherry can give you some tips on how to be successful in the role, because she absolutely has. And she's still going to be part of the team. She's just ready to check out other opportunities. And that's the cool thing about being a volunteer, right? You get to do what you want to do, and you get to check out different things and become fluent in different activities. So if there's anything that you're interested in doing, checking out, dabbling in, let me know. I can coordinate that for you. Anyone have any questions about our weekly preparedness work group meeting that happens every Tuesday right before this meeting at 3 p.m., or any of the ways you can support that team? Okay.
So Sherry, this is Sherry. So this might be already on your agenda, but on that same topic of preparedness committee, on September 12th, we're going to have the anybody that would be interested in presenting on ready rating.
Oh, that's right. I should actually add that, and I had not. So thank you for bringing that up, Sherry. So on September 12th, at the preparedness meeting, we're going to have a ready rating training. If you guys are not familiar with our ready rating preparedness program, it is intended for businesses, or I'll say places where people gather outside of their home, right? Because it could be for a rec center or a club, but really intended to share preparedness, disaster preparedness planning from the perspective of a business owner or a commercial property owner or manager. So what do they need to consider at their workplace or at their meeting place, other than what you would consider for home which is what we cover in our Be Red Cross Ready program. I have not taken the training yet, so I cannot speak fluently about it. I'm looking forward to that training. And on September 12th, I hope to be more fluent and actually talk a little bit more about it and those opportunities for us to get out into the communities and share even more disaster preparedness. Thank you for that plug, Sherry, because I had forgotten. Perfect. Anything else? Any questions for our preparedness team or about our preparedness meetings that we have each week? All right. And typically, you guys, those meetings, sometimes they go a full hour. Today, our meeting only went 25 minutes because we don't have a lot of upcoming events and we didn't have a lot of past events to talk about. And we did not have a training opportunity today. So they're not all an hour long. I do record those, but I don't share them out with everyone. If you would like to see the recording of that meeting, please let me know and I can share it with you. Here are some upcoming events and opportunities. And I'm going to start by showing you guys our volunteer connection calendar. Because though we cover the immediate upcoming events and opportunities, I also want you guys to know where you can look and access that information yourself. So from Volunteer Connection, here's our home screen. In my groups, I have a lot of groups. You hopefully do not have this many groups to choose from, but you should have this group, which is the Disaster Services Workforce Northern Nevada group. And if you click on that, it's going to bring up basically our Disaster Services Workforce Northern Nevada homepage. What you will find on it is news, and usually the news includes everything, including the video link for this meeting. So this is all for our meeting from last week. This evening, I'll go in and replace it with everything pertinent to this week. Our calendar is what I really wanted to show you. This is where upcoming events, including upcoming birthdays, are happening. If you click on, let's see, calendar up here at the top, this big button that says calendar, it'll bring up the month view. It's a little bit slow, but it'll get there. And you can see everybody's birthdays that happened in August. Anything else that we had going on in August, you can see. We're trying to put everything on this one calendar so it's an easy go-to place. So not only will you see birthdays and our meeting invites, but you're also going to see upcoming trainings. There's going to be reminders on here. Here's a reminder to sign into RC Care monthly because as a lot of you DAT responders know and recovery workers know, if you do not sign into RC Care monthly, you'll get locked out. And also our DHS and our disaster mental health, all of you folks who use RC Care. So this calendar is where you can go to refer for anything that's upcoming. And if you want to keep an eye on people's birthdays so you can wish them happy birthdays personally, you can do that. And look at you, Randy Honeywell, with a birthday coming up. Happy birthday on September 7th. So, anyone have any questions about our calendar or how to get to it? Okay, we're going to go right back to the agenda then and talk about these upcoming events. So, on September 7th, this was canceled. We were ready to be there, but no one else was. So, anybody who was thinking about going to that safety fair, you can wipe it off your calendar because it is no longer happening. It has been canceled. But what is happening September 7th is we're going to have a 3-truck convoy headed out to Elko. We need to clean out the storage unit that is full of, we think, office furniture, but who knows, there could be all sorts of treasures in there. So if you're interested in meeting at the Reno office at 6 a.m. and heading out to Elko, if we have all 3 trucks and a decent sized team, I think we'll be able to clear out that storage unit and get rid of everything in a couple of hours and then drive back. So it's going to be an extremely long day. Lunch is on me. Dinner is probably on me, and breakfast might be on me as well because it's going to be such a long day. So if you guys are game and interested, I would so appreciate your help. As many people as we can rally, the better, to make a trip out to Elko and clear out that storage unit. Because right now it's just draining donor dollars. And we're not using anything in the unit, and we want to use those donor dollars more effectively. So if you're available, especially if you're an authorized driver, could certainly use your assistance. On September 11th and September 13th, we have Prepare with Pedro and Pillowcase Project presentations at the elementary schools in Lockwood and Virginia City. We have volunteers who have signed up. We have presenters and we have support. However, Gail, who is scheduled to be a presenter, just arrived in Mississippi today. She is supporting clients who are still in shelter. They're in non-congregate shelter, so they're typically in hotels and motels, but they've been there for more than 160 days since the tornadoes occurred in the Southeast. So Gail may not be back in time to be a presenter for either of those. If you're interested in learning how to become a presenter or presenting at either of those, please let me know, and we can make sure you get the training and the practice you need. And I'm sure Betsy would be more than happy to be the lead presenter and appreciate whatever support you can offer. So does anyone have any questions about those presentations or our needs? Okay. Another opportunity we have coming up on September 18th is we've had a request to do hands-only CPR and Be Red Cross Ready, a presentation to moms of young kids. They meet at the Cornerstone Church that's in the Smith's Shopping Center near Reed High School. It's going to be a pretty small, intimate group of 12 to 15 moms. And so it's a wonderful opportunity for newer presenters to get their feet wet if they want to do it with a smaller group, as opposed to a group like Randy presented to today of 30 or more. So let me know if you're interested in doing that, either of those presentations on that date, or learning to do either of those presentations or supporting those presentations on that date. Any questions about that one? Okay, you guys, we're down to the last 7 minutes of the meeting. So I'm going to race through this last bit because I want to tackle everything that's on the agenda, though I knew it was a lot. So other team members that we need are for volunteer outreach, mail birthday cards signed by other volunteer friends and teammates. Mail anniversary cards thanking our volunteers for their service. And then also just to do some generally calling out to those we haven't heard from in a while to check in and let them know about upcoming volunteer opportunities or ways we can support them if there's a reason we haven't heard from them in a while. We also need some volunteers who want to do some community outreach. So that's connecting with our community partners that could support during a disaster response, but also during some of our preparedness events in any of the communities we serve. So if you are a person who likes getting out there and talking to the community and talking about disaster and how we respond and how others might be able to help, that is a wonderful opportunity for you to do in your community. And again, I'm happy to support anything, any conversations you have or any meetings. Another outreach opportunity is fire department outreach, and that's just connecting with our fire departments in the communities we serve to remind them of the services we provide, whether it be responding to disaster action team calls when people are displaced from their homes, to preparedness programs that we have for all their communities. They may have, even some fire departments have community rooms that are available to be used for those types of gatherings and education opportunities. So someone just to connect with our fire departments and do that outreach. Another huge need that especially come up recently with all of these deployment opportunities is volunteers, especially if you live near our chapter office or the Reno airport, is to be available to just issue mission cards to responders who are deploying. Generally, you only get 24 to 48 hours notice before you have to deploy. So a lot of things have to happen in that short window. And one of those things is mission cards are issued so you have money to spend while you're on that deployment. And right now, there's only a couple of us who can give out those mission cards. It's not tricky. It's pretty much a matter of meeting with the volunteer who's deploying and having them sign their name in 2 places on forms. So super easy job. If you're interested in supporting those efforts, not a huge time commitment, but is helpful if you live close to the office or the airport. Any questions about any of those volunteer opportunities or needs? Okay, so we touched on SCIA, we touched on SCIA training. The next opportunity for SCIA training is in 4 minutes. So right after this meeting, if you're interested in checking out SCIA or taking the training, click on this link to register. This agenda, like I mentioned, is in our chat, and it also was emailed to you. So you can access the agenda and then click right on this link if you're interested in taking that training in 3 minutes now. And that means I have 3 minutes to get through, oops, sorry about that, guys, deployment opportunities. So we've touched on it. There are needs throughout the nation and Hawaii right now for responders. So if you're interested in deploying in a gap you already have, call or text or email me. If you're interested in exploring or getting another gap to try something new, call, text, or email me so we can get you the training you need and we can see what opportunities are out there that you want to explore. Right now, there's a huge need for staff services support. So if you are interested in opportunities that are not necessarily client facing, but are vital to the operation because it's supporting our workforce who is supporting all of those clients and their needs, please let me know. We can get you the training you need, and I can let you know the different opportunities that are available. The other thing that's cool about staff services is a lot of times there are in-person and virtual opportunities available. So you can support the disaster relief operation without going anywhere if there's a virtual opportunity you'd like to explore. That is also true for recovery. There are a lot of sheltering opportunities, but you must be familiar with SCIA. So take that training in 2 minutes if you want to deploy in sheltering. And if you don't already have your sheltering gap, contact me, call me, text me, email me, and we'll get you that training. It all can be completed online pretty quickly and easily. I'm down to a minute, so I'm going to race through it. Other opportunities: feeding, reunification, distribution of emergency supplies supervisor, facilities supervisor, disaster spiritual care, disaster mental health, disaster health services. There are opportunities in Hawaii still for experienced responders only, There are opportunities for everyone in Texas with all levels of experience. There are some wildfires that are wreaking havoc. We already sent a brand new volunteer, Dave Kidwell. He is on his way there right now. So if you would like to join him, please let me know. Also, a lot of opportunities in Florida and Tallahassee to support Idalia that's getting ready to hit the Southeast. I'm down to my last final reminder before I open it up for more questions. Please record your hours, you guys. If you attended this meeting or watched the video, you can record at least an hour. But really, it's for anything you do that is related to Red Cross, whether it's shooting an email to somebody, having a quick conversation, anything. Record those hours, please. If you have any questions, you can watch last week's video and see how to do that, or you can call me. Thank you all for joining today. I'm going to officially close out the meeting, except for those who have any questions or would like further information about anything we covered. All right,
Thank
you guys.
Sherry.
Oh, yes, Sherry, go ahead. Paul, did you have something? All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful afternoon, Sunny. I don't even know what time it is where you are, so have a wonderful whatever, wherever you are. And I hope to see you next week. Take care, everybody.